Welcome back to the Foundation Homestead. Our objective today is to get this house from here to here without doing this.
When it comes to moving the structure the size of a house, you don't just jack it up, put it on a trailer, and head down the road. There are a lot of entities that need to be involved in your process and the route that you're going to take. That might include law enforcement, municipalities, power companies, and the such. And once the route has been established and everyone approves that route, then what we're doing here is driving the route, cutting the trees back so that they don't do any damage to the house when we pass by. We did this by putting our genie on top of our semi and just driving down the road and swinging side to side and cutting the branches back so that we had plenty of clearance.
Stewardship is everything.
This is where the trip begins. This is the original location of the house, and we are pulling onto the highway to begin our journey. Bridges are always a concern, that they'd bear the weight and also that they're wide enough. Sometimes the signage has to be taken down so that the house will clear. And of course the power company is always involved, lifting wires, or if the house is high enough, the structure is high enough, the power might need to be taken down temporarily so that you can pass. Fortunately, with a single-story house, we didn't have that. We had several places where the lines had to be raised, either as you just saw there with a bucket truck, or raising it with a pole. This particular house measures 28 by 46. Our total trip was about 22 miles, and we made it in 2.5 hours, so that's moving right along. Here we're on our last leg of the journey, and we'll be pulling onto a main highway, and this will take us to our final location. We have about 2.5 miles left. We have a police escort in front of us that's instructing people to pull off to the side until we pass by. If you have plans to move a house, there's some hidden fees that you might want to check into before you commit yourself to the project. This particular house was given to us if we had moved it off of the property, but we end up paying about $6,500 to the municipality due to their loss of tax base was the explanation for it. The other thing that you want to check into is the cost of moving power lines. Depending on the route that you take, they should be able to give you a rough idea what it's going to cost to move those power lines, because this can be a very significant expense running into the thousands of dollars. On this particular project, our local public power district was very reasonable. come to the final turn. We're turning onto the street where this house will take up its new residence. Primary power company that we worked with is called Twin Valley Public Power, and they did an excellent job for us. They leapfrogged ahead and often had the wires held up before we even got there, so we just slowed down, rolled right underneath, and kept on going.
Put them back to straight. We can just leave it. Really ain't hurting us.
Space was at a premium here as we pulled into the basement. That walnut tree on the left there, when we got the house where it needed to be, we had about 3 inches to spare. And as you can see here, the house is actually hanging over the basement on the right-hand side. From here, as you can look down into the basement, you can see that the cribbing's already in place and it's ready to receive the jacks and the beams to get the house off the trailer.
pulled the house up in alignment with the foundation. So we do our best to get it pulled up square with the walls and in line endways, which we did this time. We're actually parked right on the money. So we stopped there, and then we put those two beams perpendicular to our mains, which you saw, with the roller in between. Pushed it across until we had it lined up right where we wanted it. At that point, we were square. We've got the same amount of house on this side, and on the ends. We go up with the jacks, and we pull those beams out. So we just got done doing that process. Now all we have to do is lower it straight down. So I've come down 16 inches, and I've got to reset all 6 jacks. While we're doing that, we're going to pick up everything outside, because eventually this all has to be cleaned up and loaded on the trailer. So we're going to spend about a half hour picking that up, and then we're going to lower these jacks down. They have a 16-inch stroke, so we'll put them down lower by moving these, so we can lower these down to here or here, get the jacks down lower, run them back up, pull the blocking. We'll have to pull 3 more rows of these 6x6s, lower that down, then we'll come down to about 1 inch off, and we'll make sure that's where we want it, because we can still adjust it. We can still go side to side, endways, get it right where you want it. When we get the green light from Tim, we're going to let it down. Mine's an inch off.
This is a process of micro adjustment, I guess you'd call it. By hitting the top of that jack, they're sliding it underneath that beam ever so slightly, and it will eventually move the entire house, and they can do it in very small increments. The same process is repeated on the top of each one of those jacks until they get the house exactly where they want it. Now we've got the house exactly where we want it, and on this particular job what we have done is we've bolted a top plate to the top of the concrete wall, the ICF wall, because the house also has a plate on it. So here we're putting glue between the two, and when we're ready we will set that house down into that bed of glue, and it will be a very sure ball. After all the final adjustments have been made, the house is being lowered into its new location on a new foundation. Mission accomplished. Now the only thing left to do is to get the beams out from underneath the house, get the cribbing out of the basement and into the cages that you see in the background there. Everything loaded on the truck and headed for home. Our job remains to fill these beam pockets where this beam is coming out in the foundation. We'll have to come back, put our ICF block in there and pump that full of concrete, and then our job will be done as well.
A huge thank you to John Williams and his crew for their excellent job. We would recommend them to anyone. It's been a long process. If you've been with us for the long haul or just jumping on, thanks for joining us. Like and subscribe to the Foundation Homestead so you don't miss a thing. Who knows what we're going to work on next. Until next time, God bless.